lips are sealed. That's the Go-Go's right here, Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves an absolutely amazing day. I certainly do. I do. All right, so this was actually asked by someone that I'm super duper fond of in the whole YouTube community, and she's building her channel, and she's like Anya's with me. I hope. Anya's is way bigger than me, by the way, but whatever the case is. I try really hard to kind of promote her. I just think she's really awesome. She's a great being. I feel like she's like a lot of us out there. Maybe porch lights in the darkened world full of moths. Yes, that's what most of us are. Yes, indeedy. So I think this is a wonderful question that she asked. Pamela, you're awesome. She comments frequently, and I'll probably throw a link in the channel just because she did ask this question. It's really, really awesome. But preventing other people's beliefs from affecting you. Now, this is an awesome question on a few levels, and I'm going to try to cover it from the different levels. Now, in the case of the way Pamela's asking it, I think she's asking it from a more advanced kind of level, and it's not necessarily me trying to crawl up inside of her back orifice. It's not like that at all. It's just acknowledging that as we evolve through this law of attraction understanding, this spiritual awakening, all these different things that I talk about, we're going to evolve our understanding of these concepts to a level and depth that is different than when it was early on. So early on, this idea of other people's beliefs affecting you early on when you're just beginning. So here's how you may try to tell that this is where you're at is law of attraction is very new to you. You don't quite fully understand it. You don't quite fully believe in it yet, but it seems to kind of work, but you're not really sure. There's nothing wrong with this level of understanding. It's where all of us start. It's like in martial arts. No one looks at a white belt or a yellow belt or whatever a small belt is, maybe in your form. Like no one looks at that and goes, oh, you suck. You're just a white belt. It's like, dude, this is a person that's just begun. And those people look at the people that have the black belts or the red belts or whatever and look at them and go, wow, that's amazing. And it's just the way you can move and your power and right, like your determination, like it's a beauty. And that comes from experience and practice and doing it over and over. So there's nothing wrong or better than either. Yeah, the black belt could kick the white belt's butt. Don't get me wrong. It's not like that at all. But the black belt also understands the white belt looks up to him and is trying to help show the way. So again, a lot of us are lights on the porches of this dark world full of moths. That being said, early on when you're a beginner, really what's probably happening, why you're seeing all these negative people, maybe people that are so anti-relationships and you're trying to manifest your relationship or are constantly talking about ageism, right? This is one thing I hear frequently. I'm so old, I can't get that job because they're looking for young people. They're looking for this or that. A lot of times early on, we'll see and find all sorts of people that will exemplify that. We'll keep bumping into them everywhere. They're like, yeah, no one will hire me either because I'm so old. Like those things will happen. And it's because that's embedded in us. That belief is embedded in us. And this is how the universe is showing us, hey, you've got these beliefs that are kind of holding you back. You've got these things that are keeping you from where you're trying to get. So if you're trying to manifest something and you keep seeing all these weird things around you that kind of go against what it is that you're trying to manifest, there's probably some sort of hidden underlying belief of that within you. What we see outside of ourselves is typically us reflected back. That's the us pushed out thing in my mind most of the time. In most cases, it's that. It's that reflection of what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? Who am I right now? That's what I'm seeing. That's my understanding. So that's all I can see. If you're a very simple person with minimal education, you certainly couldn't look at maybe water, for example, and appreciate the fact that it's the subatomic action, the complexity that's going on and the hydrogen bonding that's occurring, which actually causes water to have a weird elasticity to the surface tension, right? It's oddly strong. It's the only liquid that's like that. It's really weird. It's like why when it freezes, right before it freezes, it expands really fast and then freezes smaller. It's weird. If you're simple, you don't get that. That's okay. Nothing wrong with it. My point is when you're coming at it from a different level, you see it for what it is. Yeah, it's weird. It cracks glass when you put it in the freezer. I know. That's weird. Ice is the only thing. Water is the only thing that does that. You could do it with alcohol and it wouldn't happen. So again, it's one of those concepts. Now, when you're coming at this from a slightly elevated position, not elevated in higher or better, elevated in the sense of like you get the basics. A lot of times for us teachers, it's why I say there's a lot of us that are lights on the porches in dark nights amongst moths, in a world full of moths. The little nighttime critters, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? Caterpillars, or what is it at nights that turn, I forget which ones turn into moths and which turn into caterpillar or butterflies, whatever. Whatever it is, it's the same similar animal. They just turn into animals. Also, transitions, very cool. When it's something that's a little different, when you're a teacher, which a lot of you guys are that are in my channel, that's a big part of what my energy is. And probably if you're on this channel with any sort of a regularity, you're in an awakening process in your life. Law of attraction is certainly part of that. It's that understanding and that connectedness, but you're also waking. When you're coming at this from that angle, I feel like there's a different side to it, because as someone similar, I've come across all sorts of interesting people. It would be like saying that every single person that's in my audience that asks questions about relationships is me pushed out is absurd. I'm not all of these different, I don't have all these different crazy thoughts every single part of my day. Some of you guys are having different struggles with different aspects. Doesn't mean I am right now. And that's okay too. But my point is when you're coming at it as a teacher, you've made a lot of mistakes already. You've kind of got an understanding of the concept. Now it's an issue of helping others see it. Now, there's a few ways you can come at it in my mind. Now, we're going to use the example of people that their beliefs, like maybe they've got relationship beliefs that, men can't be trusted, for example, or no long-term relationships work, or everything ends up in divorce, or all sorts of crazy negative thoughts that are out there when it comes to around relationships, when it comes to the concept of relationships. And if we keep bumping into people, and we ourselves are currently trying to manifest relationships like that, one action that can happen, and again, it kind of helps ourselves at the same time, is you start to realize, here's my opportunity to heal this belief. Not necessarily force them into healing it per se, but maybe bring up concepts that challenge their beliefs into a positive direction. For example, everybody, all men out there, you can't trust them, right? And there can be that, there's that one person, so-and-so, that I'm going to say George Clooney because it's funny for any of you that watched that video that I talked about him. So George Clooney is he's known for being actually a very nice guy and he's never cheated, supposedly. I'm making some of this up. I don't actually know this much about George Clooney, and thank God, frankly. But again, all these things, right? And he's a good guy, and he treats people really well, and he's been generous, right? All this stuff. And you're like, he's actually known, and here's all these articles that kind of prove that. Maybe it's someone that you guys mutually know. That's a wonderful example of a man. Well, there's this, he's an example, he's the rarity, right? And that's where you come in and you go, you're right, but that means they exist. They exist. You're saying all people are like this. Well, here's a really good example. And now they have to acknowledge, well, yeah, there's some. Boom. Boom. You've affected their lives. And if it's maybe something that's challenging from where you're coming at it right now too, it's kind of why you're getting an opportunity to teach it. I'll get to that in a second. It's giving you that extra oomph. It's giving you that little bit of no, yeah, that's right. It's actually, wow, that's great advice I just gave. I don't know where the hell I pulled that from, but that was great advice. And they talk about the 4 ways you learn. A lot of people talk about the 3, but there's actually the 4th, and the 4th is the key step. So the 3 are by seeing it. So if you see somebody do it, that's supposed to help you learn it. If you hear them talking about it, that's supposed to help you also learn how to do it. If you do the activity, that also teaches you doing it, and it makes you much, much better at it. The 4th step that nobody ever, I don't know the numbers. The 4th one is teaching. When you teach something, you take it to the full upper level. The other 3 are incorporated into your understanding of it. Now you're presenting it to another. You're either walking them through it as they do it, you're either talking them through it, or you're trying to demonstrate it for them. I had to think what the other was. So a lot of times these opportunities will come up for us to learn how to spin a conversation, to learn how to spin our thoughts up into a more positive direction for our manifestation. Because ultimately, as a teacher, that's what many of us are here to kind of show and do. And for those of you that are beginners, that's what the black belts are kind of working on. That's the way they're looking at it. They're looking at it like, how can I help other people understand this. And you, remembering what it was like to be a beginner, makes you a way better teacher because you get it. You get what it's like when you first started and you're like, this is crazy. None of this stuff works. Are you freaking serious? Yeah, no, these people are nuts. And then you do a couple things and you're like, that's really weird. I must be crazy too, right? And you start understanding the process through the experiences you have. So sometimes we may wonder why these things keep happening to us. Again, try to figure out where you are in this scope. There's no judgment and it's all good. Every spot is good. You earn every step of the way. And every moment and rung up that ladder, you look down and you appreciate where you've come from. And when you're looking up, you're like, yeah, but look at how far I've come. Like, there's always that comparison. And yes, you will have teachers in your lives that maybe know a little bit better. And that's okay. They shouldn't be forcing their opinions on you. They should be trying to help guide you towards you coming to your own conclusions. As the student, that's really where a good teacher comes into play, hopefully, is to help you come to conclusions so you understand it. Not tell you what to believe, but to help you come to that conclusion. Because then it's powerful. Then it actually makes a difference. And then now you're using it. And it's, it's got that ability within you. You're using it. The power's alive, if you will. When you doubt it, no, it doesn't work so good. When you realize it's there, it works amazing. It's awesome. It's always there. But whether you believe it happens or believe it doesn't happen, it's kind of the opposite of it. It's not really just not believing in it. It's like, you can do things accidentally. I think sometimes people have probably seen people do that or thought weird things, and then all of a sudden it happens. You're like, oh, I forgot. Yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Shoot. Whoops. All right. Let's think our way out of that one. So again, it all works out. So hopefully sometimes you can make a difference. Now, another thing you can do sometimes too, and I don't recommend this, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If someone's in that negative vibe and you're coming across them, you can, one time only, sort of give them energy and try to pump them up and say, no, you're a great person. You're great. I don't know why you feel that way. I get sometimes you meet those grumpy people, but there's really good people out there. I can assure you, just blah, blah, blah. And you're just going to breathe sunshine up their backsides. That is okay, but understand you can create a dependence on you, and that is not good. If someone needs to have you around because you keep feeding them, you're not making anybody stronger, and you're certainly making yourself weaker. When you teach somebody how to fish, the whole adage, right? The whole give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, and you feed him his whole life. Now, I've got a horrible joke. I won't say it. Oh, it's so horrible. It's actually funny, but it's... in some places, it might be considered inappropriate. Whatever. All these crazy rules we have in society. Anyway, it's a very funny joke. Nothing similar to that whole feed a man thingy. But anyway, so help them kind of see that they have more to look forward to in life, more wonderful things, and just kind of pump them up. Right? You just use a little bicycle pump and fill up their heads a little bit, and then all of a sudden they can float themselves on down the street, and hopefully you gave them enough to get them through their little slump. But if there's someone that's always poor me, they're just coming back for more energy. So you need to stop doing that or cut those ties or whatever, because that's not a healthy situation in those cases. So keep that in mind. All these things play out. We interact with people all the time. Not everything's exactly this us pushed out thing. Sometimes there's more to it. Sometimes there's a depth to it. Sometimes maybe there's an aspect of what this person's saying that we do have a slight weird belief with, that we're now like, oh yeah. So again, when things are happening, pay attention, understand it's happening and it's cool and it's showing you something, or it's presenting you something, probably a better way to look at it, and run with it. Because truly, when we realize how connected we are with every moment of our lives, we start to appreciate every day in a different way. We realize how many opportunities in every given day you have to have a life-changing experience. Many, many times throughout the day, you could have the possibility of bumping into somebody that could change your life, or a phone call that maybe, oh my God, like your life can alter like that. And every day there's lots of opportunities for those moments to happen. Enjoy it. That's a big part of this. Just saying. Hopefully this helps. I hope everybody checks out Pamela. I'm going to throw her link probably in the below thing if I remember. Hopefully I should. We'll see. I'm challenged sometimes. And we're going out with, there it goes, Whitney Houston on this one. I want to dance with somebody who loves me, I think is how it's said, or somebody who loves me, something like that. Either way you go, it's still basically Whitney Houston. It's right here on Dan Radio Style.
It's the light of